Happy Monday, everyone. On Friday, when we were talking about informative writing, we were just being introduced on how to gather text evidence. And so today we're going to quickly talk about what you might have gathered from our article, and then we're going to put it into a brainstorm. We're going to spend 2 days putting our brainstorm together because I don't want to overdo it. So if we take a look back at our prompt to help us refocus on what we're writing, we are writing an essay to explain how the 2 spills that you read about happened, their initial and lasting impacts on the environment and people. So when we're talking about text evidence, I want to talk about each of the articles really quick. So the Exxon Valdez tanker, when I was gathering facts, these are what I found to be very helpful. So in my first paragraph, I found the facts giving me the date of when it happened and that it was coming from Alaska. I text marked those to be something that I would include in my paragraph, explaining how the actual crash happened. I also text marked that they strayed from the path and it crashed into the Bly Reef. And then the last one I talked about was how it talked about ripping the ship open, and that's what caused the oil spill to occur. And then when I talked about the Gulf oil spill and how that one happened, again, I included the date of April 20th, 2010, and that the boat burst into flames, which then, because it occurred at the oil rig, caused a leak in the oil pipes for BP, and as a result, that's what caused the spill. Then in my third paragraph with text evidence, this one I had a lot, and I'm not going to use them all, but I started off thinking about it. So when it talked about the impact, I thought it would be important to include some of the conversations about how much money was spent into the cleanup. So when it talked about spending, for the first one, the Exxon one, $2.1 billion to clean up, I included that fact, as well as the Gulf oil spill of $14 billion to clean up. I talked about how it impacted both the environments in both situations and the animals, how fish, ducks, eagles, seals, otters were all dying from the Alaskan crash, and how the food supply was disrupted for the animals in the Gulf. I also talked about how the Exxon Valdez tanker had a positive impact because it created the Oil Pollution Act, which increased the safety of when oil rigs are occurring and oil boats are traveling. And then I also talked about, for the Gulf oil spill, how the economy was impacted. So I just wanted to go over our text evidence together, and now I'm going to show you how to incorporate it into a brainstorm. So you're going to use this brainstorm today, and we're going to really do this essay together because I want to make sure we're all on the same page of how this essay should really turn out and look. So I'm going to hold off on my hook because I want to make sure it's creative, but I do want to go ahead and knock out the purpose, the thesis, the 3 reasons, and everything like that. Okay? So for the purpose, we have to think that our job is to inform the audience about the oil spills and how they impacted our country and our environment. So with that being said, we are going to talk to our audience and tell them. We're not going to say like, today my job is to introduce you. No, we're not going to talk like that. What we're going to say is oil spills, and I'm going to zoom in really quick so you can see what I'm writing. Okay. Oil spills have happened in U.S. history and have made a large impact. In fact, this actually is the thesis. I'm going to flip-flop this. I'm sorry. Here we go. This is the thesis. The purpose of why we want to introduce this to our audience is the more we learn about our past mistakes and their negative impacts on the environment, the better we can do. All right, so this is my concept of this is how we're going to go ahead and get started. So with this being said, we have our thesis stated, and I got that straight from the prompt. And then we have our purpose stated of why this essay is important in the first place. Now, our 3 reasons are a little different because what we're doing here is in one paragraph, we're explaining how the Exxon Valdez tanker sank, how the Gulf oil spill happened, and then how they both impacted the environment. So this is what this sentence will sound like. The Exxon Valdez tanker sank into the Bligh Reef, and the Gulf oil spill occurred due to an explosion. Now, we're not going into detail or anything like that because that's what the rest of our paragraphs and essays are going to be about. And I'm going to do a coordinating conjunction here, and both of these made a huge impact on the environment. Okay, that kind of sums up to our readers what they're going to be reading about. They're going to read about the Exxon tanker, they're going to read about the Gulf oil spill, and last but not least, they're going to read about the impact made on the environment. So for my wrap it up sentence, what I'm thinking is the whole purpose of this is to inform so that we don't make these same mistakes in the future. I'm going to kind of lean into that for my wrap it up sentence. There is a lot to learn about these 2 tragic oil spills in hopes that we can be safer, smarter. Now yours does not have to look like mine, but I am trying to help you as much as possible for this first essay until we really get better at this. Okay, so looking back at the hook, what I want to talk about for the hook is you want to come up with something creative and look back at your question stems, okay, that we worked on from our notes on the first day, and pick one of those and see if there's one that sparks your interest. Maybe you want to ask a good question to your audience, or you want to tell them why it's important. Maybe you found a quote or a shocking fact that you want to hit them with. So you're going to come up with a hook on your own, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. Now, taking a look at our reasoning, I'm only going to model one of these today, and then we'll stop because I know this is a lot. So we want to use one of our transition words. So if you look at the second day of notes in your notebook, if you look in the first column, we're kind of introducing. So we're going to start with to begin with. And we are introducing this as if our readers have no idea that this even happened. So to begin with, the Exxon Valdez tanker was traveling from Alaska on March, looking back to figure out some of these facts, 23rd, 1989. And then I'm going to add in something creative. When tragedy, okay, kind of dramatizing it all. All right. Now, here's the deal. When we're doing a brainstorm, brainstorms are not supposed to be complete sentences, but they can be complete thoughts. So you're going to see me get a little chunk, like talk a little bit. I always say talking like cavemen. So for my text evidence, I'm not writing a complete sentence. I am picking out the fact that I want to include, and that is what I'm going to write. So all I have for my first fact that I found from the article is strayed from the path, and then / Bligh Reef. My elaboration, I'm going to leave blank for right now because I don't know yet what I want to put. Okay, for my next text evidence from that same article, and we'll include the titles when we actually put this into paragraph form, is I want to talk about how it ripped the ship, and that's what led to the oil spill. Okay. All right. And then when I think about elaboration, okay, I have to get a little creative here. For elaboration, I can say straight from the path. Maybe I can think from the other perspective. If the captain stuck to the path, this whole thing could have been avoided. All right, and then for this elaboration, I'm thinking, well, since it's traveling from Alaska, and then I started inferencing a little bit about Alaska, even though I've never been, I don't know that much about Alaska. I know it's cold. And I know that there's iceberg, or well, there could be icebergs in the water or anything like that. So I'm thinking this is not an easy trip to go figure out where this tanker is and to like rescue it. So my elaboration is going to say complicated rescue. Now, is that a complete sentence? No. However, I know I'm going to add to it in the following days. All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, yours might look different. You don't have to copy me word for word, but the purpose of me doing this word for word is so that I can help you and you can really understand the expectations of what this is going to look like for this informative essay. So I know it seems like you're doing a lot of copying, but I hope you're listening to the words we're talking about. And tomorrow I will do a follow-up video for our remaining two paragraphs and then quickly talk to you about the final conclusion. All right, good job today, ladies.